What you don't know about yourself can and will hurt a future version of you. As long as you're in the dark about how you see the world, what are your beliefs, what are your patterns, you will continue to be a slave to your past. Eventually, you'll end up making the same mistakes over and over again and then fall asleep to the whole pattern. Hi, my name is Jay, and over the last 5.5 years, I've been helping my clients work through a process of inner transformation mastery, helping them overcome their self-limiting patterns, helping them identify the self-limiting patterns that create self-sabotage, that, basically create the most amount of pain in our lives, either directly or indirectly. And in this video, I'm going to share with you why is it that we do things that end up hurting ourselves and, most importantly, I think, the people that we love the most. So there are 9 different patterns. Today, I'm going to cover maybe 2 or 3 of them. But if you want to know what your pattern is and you want to skip right to that, go to the description. There's a link that you can click on that will take you to an assessment. When you do that assessment, you will get a report. Now that report will tell you everything about your patterns. It is so profound, probably the most powerful thing that you can do today. So if you haven't yet done that personality report, go to the description below, click on that link and do it now. Let me give you a few examples of what kind of patterns exist. And maybe some of these will sound familiar to you because these are things that, they're patterns that exist all throughout humanity. For example, I'll tell you one of my patterns, right? Back in the day when I was completely unaware that any of this existed, that patterns existed, and I was just a normal guy doing a corporate job, trying to make my way, trying to make some money, try to do the right thing, try to be a good son, try to be a good boyfriend, or try to be a good friend, try to be a good employee. My effort was to try to be perfect. And I had to be absolutely perfect. In fact, I put so much pressure and burden on myself. Perhaps people couldn't see this. And it's not really their fault. But the thing is that by putting all the responsibilities that I possibly could and all the pressures that I could possibly put on myself, I created a lot of tension inside of me. And of course, I couldn't let that tension go, because if I were to have an outburst, if I were to complain, if I were to say anything that wasn't the right thing to say or the right thing to do, anything that didn't make me a good son or a good brother, or, just fulfill any of the roles that I was supposed to fulfill, talk about anything that was wrong, then I couldn't have that, right? Because I'm supposed to be perfect. So this perfectionistic pattern is a pattern where you go about correcting other people. You could do this better this way. You could do this better this way. You could do this better this way. You should be doing this. You should do this. You should do this. You should do this. A lot of shoulds, right? And maybe you know somebody in your life that has a lot of shoulds. You should do this. You should do this. You should do this. You just hate that person. Maybe you're that person. Maybe you have a long list of shoulds. And the effect of that is that it ends up making the person on the other side feel judged, like they're just not good enough. So for example, say a friend comes to you and says, oh, check out this amazing painting that I did. And you say, yeah, that's good, but maybe the brush stroke could have been done this way, or I think you kind of, you could have done this better this way. And so there's the critique comes first. So I was that critique, first for myself and then for the people closest to me. Of course, the people closest to me, because I wanted them to be better. I wanted them to be perfect like me, right? Which is crazy, because there's no such thing as perfect, right? This pattern created so much pressure inside of me to be perfect, and so much pressure in people around me to also try to maintain the same high standards if they were so inclined to do, that it created really high tension environment around me. And if someone did something wrong or something went wrong, it could trigger me, and I would get very angry very fast. Sometimes it could be the smallest thing. Sometimes it could just be a stain on my shirt. I'm not giving you a real example. I'm exaggerating slightly, but it could be even a stain on my shirt, and it could make me really angry. Now I may not say anything about it, but inside I would be fuming. And then the first person that would make a mistake in front of me, boom, would get it. This pattern of extreme perfectionism was one of the patterns that ended up creating more pain in my life for myself and for other people. I'll give you another example. I know somebody who insists that she knows best for everyone. Like she's always trying to help other people. She's always thinking about other people. You know, this friend of mine. She's not grown up yet. Like she's still behaving like a child. Maybe she should do things like this. Maybe she should do things like this. I don't know. And so she's constantly thinking about what her friends could be doing. She's constantly thinking about what her parents could be doing. She can't help but go out and help them even when they don't want any help. I mean, she'll definitely be there when they want help, and she'll jump at the chance, and she'll do anything, harm herself, metaphorically speaking, in order to give them like life force. She'll do it. If she had the choice to harm herself and give her life force to them, she would do it, right? But not only that, even when they don't want any help, she'll come in and say, you know what, I think you should do it this way. I think this is the way to do it. So that's another pattern, which is one of the 9 patterns, which is the pattern of somebody who's a giver, somebody who's a helper. One final pattern I'll tell you about is somebody who's a high achiever. And you must have seen this as well. Somebody who's a workaholic, somebody who's always focused on their career, making money, moving ahead in life, and as a consequence ends up giving little to no attention, time, or space to their relationships. Their parents probably think this person doesn't even care about how I'm doing. The boyfriend or the girlfriend or the husband or the wife probably is sure that this person is cheating on them, because there's absolutely no emotional intimacy, because all the energy is going towards achievement. So these people are very, 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 very dedicated, very hardworking, dedicated to their image, and might even say things like to their partner, to their boyfriend or girlfriend, hey, you better dress like this, or hey, you better, like, you can't wear that where we're going, because that doesn't make me look good, make the other person feel like crap. So it's not that they don't care about their partner, it's just that the pattern is that they care so much about their image that they might end up saying or doing something, well meaning as they are, that might make their partner feel low. In all of these examples, you can see that the intention is very good. In the perfectionist's case, the intention is to be perfect. In the helper's case, the intention is to help. In the achiever's case, the intention is to have an image of success, of achievement, because they believe that that image will ensure love for them, will ensure admiration, will ensure their safety. So the intention is good all across the board. It's just how we meet our intentions creates a very big difference. Because if we have patterns that are meeting these intentions in a way that end up harming us, in a way that end up harming other people around us, then that's where the problem lies. Now, when you talk about triggers, now it's very clear, right? Like somebody who's perfect, anything that creates criticism, either external criticism or internal criticism, their own inner voice saying, you could be better, you could look better, you could do better. Like any form of criticism is a trigger. For a helper, any form of either their help not being wanted or them feeling like the other person can't read their minds and figure out when they need help could be a trigger. Anything for the achiever where their image is threatened could be a trigger. Now you've got things that will trigger you. Any event that is interpreted as a threat becomes a trigger. And now people are walking on eggshells around you, like they're walking on eggshells. Question you have to ask yourself is, do you want people to walk on eggshells around you? Do you think that's how you can build strong relationships in the future? Is that really what you want? Maybe you might want certain people to do that, but do you want the people closest to you to do that? Do you want the people closest to you to be afraid that, hey, I shouldn't do anything wrong because if this person gets triggered, this guy will eat me alive. This woman is going to skin me alive if I do anything that triggers them. At the end of the day, do you want to be the toxicity in somebody else's life? The truth is that you're always going to end up being that in some form or the other unless you recognize your own patterns, you recognize what triggers you, or you recognize the intention behind that pattern, and you find a healthier way of meeting that intention. So how do you do that? Well, there's a link I mentioned before in the description. Go take that test. There are about 6 other patterns, 6 different, there are 9 total personality types. I described 3 to you today. There are about 6 others. And I want you to go take that test. Let me know what is your pattern and in the comment section, and then we can talk more about what you can do to overcome them. Where things get really interesting is when your pattern ends up being a trigger for someone else. So maybe you walk away from conflict thinking that you're keeping the peace, but the other person sees it as abandonment. You might shut them out thinking you're de-escalating the situation, but to them, it might look like punishment. You might say being calm is a good thing in the situation, but maybe you're just being disconnected. Before you go, one important question that you want to ask yourself is, are your loved ones feeling safe around your emotions? Or do they have to manage your mood first before they can speak their own truth? What is the answer to that question? And what do you want the answer to be? This is something for you to think about. Put your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.